to Constructing the Future podcast. I'm your host, Rhianna Di Trapani. Here we celebrate industry leaders shaping the future of the construction industry. They have inspiring stories and insights to share, and we're excited to bring them to you, the listeners. I'm a director at Virtual Civil Consulting, a remote-first company of experienced project managers, providing you with pre-contract support, expanding your tendering capacity. Leave the planning to us so you can focus on what matters most, delivering the project. And today we have Paul Doherty, Managing Director of PD Project Delivery, a project management consultancy based in Brisbane, working all over Australia. Paul moved to Australia in 2012 from Scotland and has since become an Australian citizen in 2022. Congratulations. Paul started PD Project Delivery in 2018, which has grown very quickly in a very short amount of time. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm so excited to jump in and learn a bit more about PD Project Delivery and about you. So if you can tell all of my, 5 listeners a little bit more about your company.
Thank you. No, it's awesome to be on. So PD Project Delivery, we're a project management consultancy in the civil construction industry. We started, like you said, 2018, where it was just a one-man band, which was myself, after I'd completed a few projects for Penzar, who are a Brisbane-based company. I'd been relocated down to New South Wales to do some work in the water division for them there. And then when I relocated back to Queensland, I decided I wanted to try something new, wanted to go out myself and just see what was happening. Originally, it was meant to be quite a few of my close friends / engineers. We're going to do a bit of a joint kind of company and go out and just tackle that kind of gap in the market where we've seen between like clients and contractors and delivery, just having like a set team that you could have in there. So that was the idea back then. I remember my goals back then were quite different from what they are nowadays. It was just about growing and just having a few people working for us and just being able to facilitate the industry and help deliver some cool projects along the way. So that started 2018 and we ticked along during COVID. I was personally working on a job at Inland Rail down there in New South Wales, and after that project came to an end, we had an opportunity to grow, and since I'd say 2021, we've massively grown and continue to do so. Far bigger than we ever expected, but it's amazing. Now just the new normal, and we just keep going. And we work in all sectors pretty much within the industry, which is road, rail, bridges, dams, you name it. We'll get involved. We try to make sure we're not put into that bracket of like white collar recruitment, where a consultancy with professionals that work within, and we have a support network within as well. So you don't just get a bum in the seat, you get a team behind it, and me personally checking in to make sure that we are delivering, because we are very, very proud of the name and the brand, and we want to keep by that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations. It is so nice to see when people, were talking before about finding your passion and following your passion, and then seeing some success and, some return on investment from it. It's really nice
Absolutely.
to see. And it's encouraging for me to see that, it is something that's possible to do when you start a business like this. You kind of spoke about how it grew really quickly. I'm really curious. What do you think attributed to that growth or to seeing that success? Do you think you could pinpoint it to being one particular thing, or do you think it was like a few things that kind of just came together? People always say it's a little bit of luck, a little bit of time and place.
It's everything in life is timing. I believe quite heavily in that, but timing only works if you're pushing for the opportunity to arise. And what I've found is like the first few years, setting up a new business is scary for anyone. Like anyone that tells you any difference, lying. So basically, you're always worried about financial pressures of, damn, I need to make money, I need to make bank, I need to be food on the table, things like this. This is normal behaviour for anyone, and that'll never change. The thing that I noticed is I was always working personally within the business, and we've got a very good business advisor accountant, which are external to the business, but we're very good, like close friends, and since then been growing together. And he's been telling me since 2018, get yourself out of the jobs and grow the business. But the focus at the time was just grow, and then you go from there. So a lot of it is getting out that mindset of like everyone suffers from, and you may or may not get through this. It's just the imposter syndrome, and like everyone, I felt for that as well. Like, you don't want to oversell yourself, you don't want to appear to be faking it or anything like that. You just want to be good at what you do, put in a few good performances with jobs and stuff, and show that we're worth what we say and we back it. And once you keep doing that, an opportunity will arise. And the timing on one of mine was, we finished at the back at Inland Rail, and I think it was Christmas Eve 2020, and then 2021 we got an opportunity to like bring a team onto a job up in North Queensland straight away. Awesome. And it was a big jump, to be honest. Like, it was a bit of a scary, like, there's going to be too much too quick, but hey, that's what life's all about. You're not challenging yourself, you're not moving. So we went for that, and then from that it just kind of grew. And as you're working and people are seeing you're on jobs, then that brings more opportunities. And fortunately right now we've got significant amount of projects on the books, and just today alone I'm trying to resource up for a few other ones. So it's a very good problem to have, but it's a very different, stressful problem to have.
Oh, I can imagine. And that kind of leads me into the next path of where I wanted to go with this is, how are you finding that good talent? Actually, there's two parts to this. How are you finding good work, and then how are you finding good talent?
Yeah, that's a good point, because everybody in the industry is struggling with this right now. On one side, I've worked in the field within Australia for 11 years, so I've been around, I've been on some big projects, I made a lot of relationships on that, and I'm probably about 80%, maybe around 80% of the people we get is through my personal connection through it, like for getting people. We also use, where needed, especially over the last 12, 18 months particularly, you can't do everything yourself. You think you can, but you can't. You have to start outsourcing things. So we've obviously got a handful of recruiters that we go to regularly, and they supply us and support us. But we're big on, I'm personally very big, because I've been an engineer on jobs, that the best resume and everything else doesn't always mean it's the best person. I'm massive on personality suit jobs. So that sometimes is a detriment to me, because if I don't think someone's the right fit, even though they look great, I kind of reserve that one back. But basically, I'm very active in the space of talking to people, communicating, touching base. And the idea is you're always on the front foot, that when the jobs come in, you're not then starting from scratch and going, when am I going to find all this talent? And don't get me wrong, I'm sitting today looking at that exact scenario, but the idea is long term, that should be a lot easier of a task. So that's something that we try to do. The other one we've got is most recently, we've just got our visa migration thing approved. That means that we can sponsor international candidates. There's a lot to it, and it was a good push to get it done. I'm a massive advocate for immigration, clearly. So I've signed a contract with a company over in the UK, and they're a recruitment company, which I personally done some jobs for in the UK, 12 years ago. 12 years ago, geez. And what they're doing is they're getting people, they're vetting people that they've put on projects, on major projects. They're doing on the vetting, working with us, and then the idea is we're the pipeline to bring in a big network. So we're hoping by the end of this calendar year and the start of next year, we've got a bit of an impulse with some overseas talent who are green to Australia, but will not be green to like the industry, like that. They're engineers on major projects in the UK. Right. Why this probably wouldn't be attractive to a lot of clients a few years ago is because we don't want green people, we don't want overseas talent, we just want to use it, which is fine, it's understandable, respectful. Nowadays, like, you can see the amount of money gets spent within Australia. It's monopoly money, it's that much money at the moment, but who's doing the work is very, very concerning, and that's why we're trying to jump on the front foot and actually expand our network, and not by just bringing like busloads of people into the country, but I know the feeling when you get to a new country, what things are called, where you get a house, how you open a bank. these teething issues hopefully eliminate, because I'm almost giving them a cheat sheet guide of how to get there and speed up the process. And by that means they feel looked after and protected. And then by that point, they're fully focused on a job and they're not just worrying about the external pressures of life. So overseas immigration, I think, is going to be a massive thing in the next few years in Australia. And that's why we're definitely involved in that now.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that there is such an issue at the moment with trying to fill roles. It doesn't matter what role, there's just not enough people in
Absolutely.
Australia to do the work. So I think that's a great move on your part. You know, selfishly bring everyone from back home to to Australia. That's great.
We all have
And
the same second name.
yeah. They'll be like, how many cousins of yours are these? But no, I totally appreciate that, you know, you've got like a bit of a support network as well once they hit, so that they can hit the ground running. I know how difficult it is moving to a new country, especially when you don't have that support
Absolutely.
network. And I mean, you do. And kind of just navigating all of the, not just the new city stuff and the cultural stuff and all of the language differences, even though they speak, like, I'm in the US and they speak English, but everything is so different. I'll say words and people look at me. So I think that's great. I think having that support network, you'll find top talent that want to work for you. And yeah.
And like we even joked, like, even I speak English, believe it or not, I speak English, but a lot of people would argue that case pretty harshly. So even like telling people like dialects, different wording for things, like there was some things when I got here. I remember my first day with Abbey Group, 11 years ago, and my construction manager at the time said, "Hi Paul, welcome to the team. You're going to be looking after scrapers and the earthwork circuit." And I was like, "No problem at all." Straight back to the computer to Google what is a scraper. It's just things like that it can hopefully eliminate that fear of, I don't want to ask a stupid question, why is it called that over here, and things like that. So
yeah, that's brilliant. And then, you know, with putting people into these roles, what is your I guess key to, you know, selling them to the clients? Because a lot of the time people want people that are part of their own company as opposed to bringing in external. I have seen, though, in recent times, and I'll jump to this question next, but in recent times I have really seen this acceptance of bringing in people from the outside to fill a role for a particular project and then move on to the next, as opposed to utilizing full-time employees and things like that. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's a very common one as well that I've found, that we're a project management consultancy. Everybody wants their own person. That's always going to be the end goal. We're not offended by that. We're not annoyed about that. That is reality, right? Like, so if you go out house, you're going to be paying a premium technically, and that's something that people don't like. And the certainty of how long are we going to have this person for, and almost that, do we invest in this person so much because they might just go to a different job? Of course, I argue what's the difference, because you can have someone you invest all your time and energy in that can leave after 4 weeks anyway. So I don't really see the difference in that one. The one thing I'm finding at the moment is every client we've got, they're very upfront and respectful, and will say, we're just going to use you until we can find a permanent position here. But that's why they're coming to people like us, the consultancies like us, and to begin with. And that's fine, because we know that we're there to fill a gap, to help them. But we back ourselves that if we're on a job and we're doing a good job, then it's very hard to say, let's get rid of them because they're a contractor or a subcontractor, if they are performing well and hitting targets. And obviously, construction is a very tough industry when it comes to commercials, like every dollar counts. And that's fine. But the only thing I'm finding now is a lot of people are hesitant. And because the industry is so tight with available resources, that you cannot sit on an offer or sit on a thing for a week because the person is gone. I've got people that interview and offer a contract the same day, and they phone me back in the afternoon going, I've actually just signed something elsewhere, and things like that, and vice versa. It's just mental how quickly it's turning over with people.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm pleased to see that, you know, finally, I think let's say we as the employees or the people have the leverage for a change.
100%. It's in the employee workers court at the moment.
So you've been in Australia a little while now, enough to have a pretty good gauge for what's happening in the industry. How would you say it's changed over the years, and what are you seeing right now? What do you think there is a big focus on in the industry now, or changes that you've seen over the time?
Yeah, quite a wide question. There's a few ones. So one, I would think that is definitely more focused on. I think we spoke offline about this briefly. Like when we started out, you'd work in FIFO and you worked till you dropped pretty much, and that was just expectation, but also reality. That's what you did. I don't think that's promoted anymore, and nor should it be. Like working 14, 15 hours a day every day is not a sustainable like process or future for anyone. And I think that's something that the industry is starting to take on board, that work-life balance is a real thing. And it might be because there's such a limitation on available resources that they have to look at these things. But I just think that they've really scaled back, that the pressure doesn't mount the same as what I think it did 10 years ago. That's not saying it's went soft or anything like that. I'm just thinking that people have to be aware that you cannot push people to breaking point right now, because breaking point now is much less because there's someone across the road willing to take that resource off of you. So you have to be more attractive to your people, and you have to look after them. Like everybody in every form of life, if you're wanted, you want to feel loved, and you want to feel like protected. And that's exactly what it is running a business with people. If your people don't feel like they matter, then they're going to go somewhere else. And it's hard to do that because everybody's different. Everyone's needs and requirements are different. But I think industry in itself has definitely shown a lot. Like even the rosters, when I first moved over here, there was 28-7 rosters, 21-7 rosters. That's absolutely brutal if you think about what conditions those people work in for that length of time. And it became normal for people as well. But nowadays, there's rosters up in Blackwater, four days on. You fly up Monday, you fly back Thursday, Avo, work from home Friday. Like
it's the
that's
dream.
unheard
That's
of.
what
Like,
I was on.
Yeah, and that's
Can't
absolutely
complain.
brilliant. Like that's just sensational. So some rosters like that are very friendly to people as well. Uh, I think COVID was actually very interesting for the remote working, which is obviously where your business is going to come into play. Is a lot of the time people didn't really commit to online meetings. They'd like a lot of the older school people would probably like just phone me or just come in my office or come to site. But you actually look at the time, travel time and stuff like that, fly to site for a 1 day meeting and stuff like why like a lot of that things wasn't needed. It was a waste of money, efficiency, time, everything. You could just do a Teams meeting and you get the same outcome, sometimes quicker. There's obviously the pros and cons with being face to face to someone. Some of the real conversations come once the camera stops, but it still shows the industry itself has adapted to that and understood that you don't have to have someone sitting in your office for 12 hours to get your money's worth out of them. If you trust your people and back your people, they'll be more productive knowing that they've got the trust in you. And if they don't, it's not a long show for them if they try to play it that way and try and hide because they're working from home and stuff. Like it's very a fair and tough market as well. So your work will outshine.
Yeah, I'm so glad you touched on that trust piece, because it's something like I always think about all the time. I'm so focused on quality over quantity that people working remote and working from home, it really shouldn't matter. Yeah, they're gonna, go downstairs and make a coffee, probably throw on a laundry or hit the grocery store and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if they're getting their work done and getting it done to the quality that you're satisfied with, it really shouldn't matter.
Absolutely.
And if they prioritize work, it's a real give and take, right? Sometimes you have to work those big days to get certain things done, and sometimes you don't, and that should just be the working relationship. And I'm really excited to see working relationships head that way. And you're absolutely right. COVID really changed the game for this industry in particular. I think everyone's guard is down a little bit more on, oh yeah, I can have a Teams call and that's okay. I can send an email and that's okay instead of a phone call or a sit down meeting. And also setting up some of those boundaries like, oh, I don't have to answer this call at 7 p.m. tonight or 5 a.m. tonight. Like, I think it's a great time to be in the space.
Absolutely. It was quite an adjustment for a lot of people. Me personally, I'd only ever worked on site in the
Yeah.
front line, you'd call it, dealing with everybody face to face, full time. When I done my first work from home, I think it was my wife was either heavily pregnant or just had the little one, and I was working from home, and it was almost like, do not speak to me in my office because I'm at work. Like, do not
Yeah.
cross this line. And it's because I don't want people thinking I'm just here chatting to you all
Right.
day. And I must have looked like absolutely lost the plot, but I struggled so much adapting to, why is it so quiet in here? Why is no one swearing at me? Why is no one like, there's just
Why
that
am I not
pressure.
swearing at anyone?
Yeah, I had almost anxiety of being too quiet. I'm like, this is so strange. And then you get to the stage where a few months later, and this is what I like about the COVID thing about Teams not coming on, that it used to be if you're not in the office, you weren't working. Whereas sometimes, like, I was up, my little one's nearly 2 now, but when he was first born, naturally he's up during the night. Sometimes I'd be up and I'd go like, do you know what? It's in my head. I'm just going to go and do a bit of work.
Right.
And it wasn't for any brownie points, anything like that. It was purely just because that worked for me and that was adaptable. Whereas if it was just a case of I'm not in the office, I don't work, that mindset might not have been fully there.
Yeah. No, I completely 100% agree with everything you just said. I want to shift into a bit more of like your business side of things. I know we spoke offline a little bit about how your goals when you started this were so different to your goals now. I want to know if you have those goals still. That would be really fun for you to look back on. But I want to know, what do you think the scariest thing was when you decided to take the plunge and go off on your own and venture into this space that was a little bit different, a little bit unknown?
Yeah, I suppose the first one always is financial. That's pure, and everybody thinks if you're running a business, you're just going to bed tonight and bags of cash and rolling over.
Yeah.
It's so far from reality. It's unreal. But there's you do get the success, you do get rewards, but it doesn't come overnight. The one thing I really found at the start was just getting that big jump to, like, if you get a big job coming in, it's cash flow is key for everybody. So I really found that getting ahead and being willing to risk assess what was a good and a bad opportunity. In our industry, like, we're not, in our business, sorry, we're not pricing major projects to deliver them. Like, we don't have machines and plant stuff. We're like a white collar professional services. What we're on jobs like project manager and engineers, but there's still risk in that. One thing that we started back then, which is a bit different from here, is you kind of see where you sit in the market. And we work with, I won't name drop, but we work with a lot of the big tier ones. But there is sometimes where I think this isn't for us because it's a very volatile side of the market. Payment terms aren't always the best, and even if they are the best, then it doesn't mean they get adhered to. That adds a lot of stress when you missed invoices for like a month or 2 months, and you have to wear that because that's what you signed up for, and that's just the way it rolls. On the plus side, there's also gaps in the market, like different clients, different kind of sides of delivery. Like client side is a big thing that I'm very interested in these days, mainly because I see client side for me is probably the best role. And I know, like, again, when I was a site engineer, I didn't like client side because I'm like, they're lazy. They don't do it. They just tell us everything's wrong. They don't sign it off and they give me an NCR. That was how I perceived client sides in the past. Now I really like it if you've done your time on the delivery side. And the reason being that is you can read the game. You know when they're trying to sell you the used car and when they're actually being genuine. You can work with and be practical without the conflict and the back and forward emails. But at the same time, from a client point of view, you call the nonsense before it becomes nonsense and you can put it to bed. So they've got a bit of peace of mind that this isn't going to blow up at the end. So I like it because you can see a whole project from start to finish, every side of it. So, for example, one of the jobs was Inland Rail we did, and I got involved in track, I got involved in drainage, civil, signalling, things that I wasn't even like aware of, like signalling stuff. You learn as you go because you're just looking at everything from a high. Whereas on the contract delivery side, as much as we still do it and we will continue to do it until we find we can actually venture out of it, is sometimes you've got that tunnel vision. You can't see outside. I've got a concrete pour on Friday, steel fixers haven't turned up today, form work's been stolen off site. These problems that happen that you cannot see what's happening in 2 weeks' time because there's so much chaos. And that's just everyday life in construction. But that's why I like taking a step back. You're actually involved in more, but your pressure levels are slightly less. But you can be a bit more smarter about how a job's run.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what so Graham, my business partner, and I love about what we're doing is we don't have to be part of the day-to-day stressful activities anymore, delivering projects. We get to have the fun up front, putting together the tenders, strategizing, coming up with the best ways of doing things, and then handing it off and saying, this is your problem now. So it's the best.
Absolutely.
I guess I want to finish off with one question. This has been so much fun, and I'll probably keep going forever. But it's kind of a question that I ask everyone at the end: is what advice or encouragement would you give someone looking to enter or begin their journey in the civil and construction space? I guess I want to tailor yours to because you've been able to build a successful business. What is some advice you would give someone who's looking to start their own civil construction, something rather, in that space? And you can't say have a lot of money in the bank to help you.
That does help, but not very likely. No, I would definitely say, and it doesn't even affect this industry, it can affect anyone. It's just honestly believe in yourself. Like the amount of times at the start you start thinking, oh, I won't say that because they're well more experienced than me, or I don't want to push back on that. Like believe yourself, back yourself, ask the questions, follow them through as well, and be respectful. Like it's a short life and it's a short industry, and people remember you, people know you. So not everyone has to like you. Don't worry about that. But as long as people respect that you're doing the right thing and you always work hard, that's a big thing. But just work hard, be disciplined, and my favourite word at the moment is resilience. Resilience is everything. Like during some tough times, you just gotta go back to basics and just stick to it. And honestly, if you get through one step at a time, you get to the finish line a lot quicker than you think. And it's very rewarding when you get the wins. One of my friends gave me a bit of an analogy recently about when you're going through that startup moment where you think you're a million miles off of where you want to be. Just think when you left high school. And for me personally, I think it was 16 years ago. It does not feel like 16 years ago. So just think how quickly the next 6-12 months is going to go. And just for a bit of concept that it'll go quicker than you want it to go, but probably not quick as you want to go right this second. So be resilient and just keep working on the goals and review your goals regularly as well.
Yeah, I love that. That's actually so valuable for me right now personally. So I really appreciate that. Awesome. That was well-timed, perfect advice. So I hope it relates for other people as well. But look, thank you so much for being on our podcast today. This was such a great chat.
Awesome.
And I'm sure our paths will cross in the future.